Welcome, future doctors, to another episode of the Future Minority Doctor podcast with Dr. Sulma
and Marina, where we bring you conversations to empower and inspire you to contribute to your community and the world by becoming a doctor. Hello, future doctors. Thanks for listening. Today, Dr. Zulma and I are excited to talk to you a little bit about our application coaching program. Now, this is a program that we started about 2 years ago. We are now in our third cohort of the application coaching program, and we just want to share what it is, why you should consider it if you're in the process of applying to medical school soon, because it's a program that we've put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into and a lot of time and love into creating, because we want to help level the playing field for underrepresented minority students, especially those coming from low-income backgrounds, to help them have success. This process of applying to medical school, whether you're going for an MD school or a DO school, it is a year-long, complicated, and expensive process. And so, because you end up spending so much time and so much effort and so much money applying to medical school, we want to make sure that when you apply, you are completely ready. You have the support that you need, you have the coaching that you need and the help that you need, and so that you can be successful. We don't want to see you having to reapply, especially not year after year after year, because it's such a complicated process, right? And nobody really tells you. It's like, hey, this is how you should write your personal statement, and this is exactly how you should write your activities, and this is exactly how you should write your secondaries. There's no one right way to do it. And so the whole process by nature is kind of mysterious. And if you don't have proper advising, you can make a lot of mistakes and end up not getting into med school and having to reapply. So, Dr. Z, I know you've been involved in it as long as I have. What would you say is the best thing about the application coaching program and why a student should consider it?
I mean, if I put myself back to where I was at in pre-med, I think the best thing about the program is having access to physicians, right? Physician mentors and minority physician mentors, right?
Yeah.
Dr. and I both come from underrepresented backgrounds and also from low-income backgrounds as well. So having that plus a physician who's already a doctor being able to guide me and help me as a student, you can't find anything better. And since it's so complicated, the whole application journey, and it's long, it's like a whole year of work after work. And this is just one piece of your life. You're still dealing with the rest of your life. It's just really nice to have someone who can help guide you. And also, thinking back, I remember all of my information came from the internet, right? I would research stuff and then think, okay, this is who I have to be in order to get into medical school. And I usually didn't fit that criteria. All right. So having mentors that can say, okay, you actually do have what it takes to be a doctor, it would have been just so helpful and uplifting. And also with the editing portion, I'm not a strong writer. Growing up, I wasn't a strong writer. So having a program to help with that portion of the application, I mean, that would have been gold for me.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, as I mentioned, it's an uneven playing field, right? Like just by nature of what it is, like this whole process of becoming a physician involves a lot of disadvantages to certain groups and advantages to other groups, just because of where you come from and the resources that you have, right? That's normal. But because of that, because this process of applying to medical school is so long and so complex, a lot of private programs have emerged on the market that offer to help you through the whole process. They'll say, yeah, we'll help you edit your essays. We'll help you to coach you for your interview skills. We'll help you to come up with your school lists. Like, we'll be there to help you. And it's going to cost somewhere between $4,000 and $10,000, right? And so where does that leave disadvantaged applicants, right? It leaves them even more behind and even more at a disadvantage compared to their classmates or their fellow pre-med students who have more financial means, right? And so we saw this evolving over the last many years. And I mean, it's existed for a long time, but there are more and
Yeah.
more programs popping up, right? And of course, they're all happy to charge money. And I'm not blaming them for charging money. Like that's one of the things about, free market capitalism in which we live. Someone saw an opportunity to help and to make money at the same time, and they're seizing that opportunity, right? They have the right to do that. But again, where does that leave everybody else? At a further disadvantage. So we wanted to help to fill that gap, and that's why we created this application coaching program back in 2022, I believe was our first one. And we've just found so much satisfaction and joy in the process of helping now 2 going on 3 cohorts of students through the process of applying. We've learned a lot too. We have become better mentors and better advisors, better guides for our students, because with each student we help, we learn more and we become better advisors. But we want to just go over, what is this application coaching program? What does it involve? What are the requirements? Where can you learn more information about it? So I'll just kind of start with an overview. So first, it's a 12-month program, right? This is not just somebody's going to help you for a month or 2 on your primary application and then, let you be on your own. This is guidance throughout the whole year that you are applying to medical school, even starting a few months in advance, so that you can get your application really ready. We provide one-on-one editing help with your primary application, which includes your personal statement, your activities, your most meaningful statements. Texas and the DO schools have a couple of different essays, and we help with those as well. And then your secondaries too. Once you submit your primary application, you're going to get requests for secondaries, and that can involve a whole lot more writing. And we have someone dedicated on our team. We're there to help you, but also dedicated editor for your secondaries that can help you through that process as they come in during the summer months and during the fall months as well. It also includes one-on-one and group coaching support to help you develop and practice your interview skills. So once a month, we're meeting for 90 minutes as a whole cohort, as a whole group of about 10 to 15 students. And we are practicing. We're saying, okay, you're going to take a turn. You're up next. Here's a prompt. And you have 5 or 7 minutes to respond to that prompt, and we're going to have a conversation as if this was a real interview. And I love those sessions. I don't know about you, Dr. Z. What do you think about our group coaching sessions?
Oh, it's great. It's an opportunity for you to think on your feet, but you also get the opportunity to observe how others answer. So then that way you can improve yourself with your interviewing. And it's very, very low key as well. So I think it's such a great opportunity. And it's a place where you can just go there to truly practice and learn from each other. So I find a lot of the students really enjoy that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And it's cool because people, you might be really nervous. And I always tell the students, look, this is about getting comfortable being uncomfortable. It's not about your answer necessarily. It's about getting enough practice so that when you are nervous on the day of the actual interview, because everybody is nervous on the day of the actual interview, you know, okay, I've been nervous before and I can still do this, right? I've practiced. I know how to do this. I know how to be confident in the face of pressure, in the face of nerves. So that's really one of the beauties. And we start the group coaching in like May, and every month we have group coaching. In the very beginning, it's more focused on things like, okay, how do you create your school list? And how are you taking Casper? And how do you prepare for secondaries? And then in like June, we launch into interview practice, and we're doing group interview practice June, July, August, September, October, November, even through December and January. And then the further group coaching sessions in like February, March, April, May, we focus on understanding financial aid and on preparing to excel in medical school. And we also bring in medical students who have been in the program before, and sometimes they will help you to practice interview skills as well, or sometimes they will share about their experiences in medical school so far. So that's fantastic. I love the group coaching. Also, students get up to 2 hours of one-on-one interview practice with me or Dr. Zulma, because let's say, oh, I got my first interview invitation. I'm really nervous. I need a little more practice before the day of my interview. we are able to meet with them one-on-one and practice one-on-one for up to 2 hours so that you get extra comfortable.
Yeah. I think the other benefit too is within the interviewing, we bring up clinical scenarios as well. So it's a great chance where you can actually learn from two clinicians, right?
Yeah.
So if you have some questions on how you answered a question, whether it's right or not, where there's more medical topics or ethical topics, you get to bounce it off to clinicians. And that's pretty unheard of. You usually don't have this experience when you're applying to medical school. So I
Oh,
think
yeah.
that's another really cool thing about the program.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I love talking to the students about that. Recently, we did one where we were practicing like a scenario where a man comes in who has diabetes and the doctor recommends a medication and the patient says, "No, I don't want to take it." Like, so what do you do? Like, the question is kind of revolving around what do you do when a patient refuses an intervention or a treatment. And so we had really rich conversation around
Mm-hmm.
that of like, and Dr. Z and I are able to share from our real world experience
Mm-hmm.
where this happens quite frequently. And like, okay, how do you delicately address that situation, right? And
Yeah.
what's some of the language that you can use in your response to show that you're being both compassionate and also wanting the best for the patient, but also respecting that patient's autonomy to make their
Mm-hmm.
own decisions, right? And so that's just an example of what kind of goes on in that group coaching. Jumping off from that, mentorship is a big part of the program. You have us, you have another physician named Dr. Sandra, who's our application coaching program coordinator. You have, her name is Mafileo, who's one of our editors, and we are continuing to grow our team. So we will have other people as we grow, we will continue to have more support. But we also assign you to have a medical student mentor if you want one. And that medical student mentor was in the program before they got into medical school. They're now either in their first, second, or third year of medical school. And they're there to help support you for 1 hour a week. And it's really cool to be able to ask someone who was just in the process that you're in very recently. It's like, hey, how
Mm-hmm.
did you deal with this? Or like, what did you ask about in your interviews? Or what do you think about this school that you're at? All those things. And it's cool to have the perspective of a medical student because Dr. Z and I went through it, but we went through it, quite a while ago. And so it's nice to get a fresher perspective as well. And then also this year we are launching something that's called the life coaching for medical students. So if you go through our program and then you get into medical school and you start medical school, you're going to have once a month evening group coaching access that helps you to kind of navigate some of the challenges of being a medical student. Because we remember, as hard as it was to get into medical school, then you're just kind of thrown into the deep end of the pool and you're like, okay, now just succeed as a medical student and succeed as a physician. And it's hard. And there are more unwritten rules and there are more challenges to navigate in terms of learning how to study and how to like absorb so much information. And it can also feel lonely. Like Dr. Z and
Mm-hmm.
I were just a handful of Hispanic medical students. I think in my class there were only like 3 or 4 of us Hispanic students in a class of 120. And it can cause you to feel kind of lonely, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
And so, how do you navigate those challenges of just feeling kind of alone or feeling unsupported or feeling judged or feeling like you don't belong? Imposter syndrome is very common. So, in that life coaching program that you get access to, we help you navigate through a lot of those things as well. Anything to add,
Yeah.
Dr. Z?
No, I agree. I mean, there was 5 minority students in my class, I think, like five.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was around 5. So again, it can
Underrepresented
feel
minorities.
underrepresented minorities. Yeah. It could feel very lonely. I think too, there's a lack of representation on the faculty side as well. So as
Oh, yeah.
you're going to classes, you're going to rotations, you feel lonely. Sometimes you feel judged, right?
Yeah. Oh,
As well.
absolutely.
So having a support, especially again, someone who's already a doctor that's kind of guiding you through the process is just so helpful.
Yeah, definitely. All right. So you might be asking yourself, okay, this sounds great, but am I eligible? Can I apply to this program? So these are the criteria you have to meet in order to apply to the program. You have to identify as an underrepresented minority student. So that's Black, Latinx, Native American, Pacific Islander, Native Hawaiian, certain Southeast Asian groups also qualify. And so just look at our website for a more comprehensive list. If you identify as one of those groups, even if you're mixed race, if you still identify, then you can qualify to apply. You also have to be low income. You have to currently consider yourself low income, whether based on your own salary and your family resources, based on both of those. You have to have at least a 3.0 cumulative GPA. And we do that because we've just learned that if it's less than that, your chances of getting into medical school are just really low. And you just need to work on taking more coursework in order to get your GPA up before you have decent chances of getting in, because we could help you to make the most amazing application. And if your numbers are just not there, you're going to get overlooked, unfortunately. We wish we could change that, but we can't. And similarly, you have to have an MCAT score of at least 496 in order to apply. By the time of your application, in the past, we've accepted students who are still in the process of taking their MCAT. And unfortunately, that has led to some problems. Like, students end up not getting the score that they need in order to apply. They end up postponing. And then we just spent a lot of time and a lot of effort getting you ready. And then the student chooses not to apply and defers until next year. And so that becomes just more complex for us. So we are enforcing this rule now. You have to have taken your MCAT and had a score of 496 or above by the time you apply, by the time you submit your application for this program. Okay. So you can't say, oh, I'm going to take it in April, because we don't know if that's actually going to happen. Right. We wish we did, but we don't. Okay. You also have to be financially and mentally committed to applying during the next cycle. So if you're applying to our program in January, February, or March, you are 100% committed to applying in June for medical school, right? Whether it's MD or DO or Texas, like, that's fine. And also, you are committed to doing the requirements of the program. You're going to show up to the group coaching meetings. Those are usually held on a weekday evening, and we would let you know. You are also committed to responding to emails and having good communication with us and letting us know, keeping us updated of all the information that we need in order to help you. And you're also willing to pay it forward. Like, we don't charge anything for this program. We want to make it free because we want to help people who do not otherwise have the resources to get this type of help. But in exchange, we ask that you are willing to pay it forward by mentoring a student in a future cohort or making a small monthly donation. I mean, this could be like $10 a month, like anything. If you prefer that, you can do that. But most of our students choose to pay it forward by acting as mentors.
Because they are so grateful of all the help that they got.
Exactly.
So and this is to be honest, they just feel so grateful with the program, and they really feel it helped them get into medical school. So I think that's why a lot of our graduated students end up being mentors.
Absolutely. Yeah. And and we've just had, like we said, fantastic experiences. We love helping these students. We love watching you grow, and we love watching the evolution that happens during this process as somebody goes from completely confused and overwhelmed to like, oh my gosh, I'm getting better at my interview skills, and then, oh my gosh, I got my first interview, and then Dr. Marina, Dr. Zulma, I got my first acceptance to medical school, and just the excitement, and then starting medical school. We love being part of that process and helping students to thrive and to fulfill their potential. And a lot of what we do is just helping to put your story on paper, because it's your story that's going to attract medical schools to you and to who you are and to what you have to bring to the medical profession. But a lot of students struggle to paint a picture of themselves on paper in writing. And so that's what we're here for. Yeah. Anything to add, Dr. Z?
No, I would agree. And then that extends into the interview. We like to bring out who you really are with the interviews, and you getting comfortable with it as well, because all of our applicants are amazing. They're all amazing. They have these amazing stories, and we know they could be doctors, but it's really trying to tease out the things like, okay, that's not what we're going to include. That's not really, this is the important stuff that we want to include. This is what we want you to talk about during your interview. And after some practice and some help, oh man, do they shine.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I love seeing that.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So if this program sounds intriguing to you and if you want to apply, please visit our website, futureminoritydoctor.com. And there will be a link to the application coaching program where you can review the eligibility criteria, review the basics about the commitment to the program, what you would need to do, and then apply. Our application opens typically at the beginning of January, and then it goes through the end of March. So you have to be thinking about it early. Please don't hold off, because we used to have the application cycle open a little later and go through April. But then by that time that we get overwhelmed, we can only help so many students at once. We only have so many hours in the week. And so in January through March, we're doing rolling admissions. And so if you apply in January and get accepted, we're going to start working with you on your personal statement right away. And then that way you're going to have things like enough time to like spread the work out. So the earlier you apply, the better in terms of how much time you have to really feel prepared. So anyway, visit our website, futureminoritydoctor.com, for more information. And the application cycle opens in January and goes through the end of March. You have to get your application submitted by March 30th in order to be considered. But don't miss out on this opportunity, please. We've just seen some amazing things happen. One of our students last year, his name is Ruben. He recorded a podcast with us sharing all about his experience with the program and his journey into medical school. And he was just so inspiring. He was so grateful for the help that we provided. He ended up getting into 3 medical schools, including his top medical school, even though he had a suboptimal MCAT score. And so he was just someone who really demonstrates the power of this program.
Exactly. So key points: have your MCAT score before January, before you apply to our program. Very, very important. So then that way you can plan ahead, and that way we can help you on time, get you to become an early applicant as well. But please, please check us out. It's really good. And just as a side note, we've had 2 cohorts, as Dr. Marina said, and the first cohort had over, I believe it was 67% acceptance rate, and the second one was over 90% acceptance rate. So just so the program is working, and that's a better statistic than what the national average is, which is in the 40s for underrepresented minorities. Okay.
Absolutely. Yes. All right. Yes. Thanks for listening. Please consider the program if it's right for you. We look forward to receiving your application. Take care.
Peace and love.